Why? Why do I have to discover that there is a reason that we hold the Bible up for how it is with the how many books right now with the Old Testament, New Testament, and there are, you know, early church fathers that have just picked out some Bible chapters and then decided that this is the canon Bible that we all read up to this day. I would like some help with my new discoverings, and it's a lot, okay? Because it shaped definitely a lot of my ideologies and everything. Again, deconstruction is not like a process one of and the other day. I had like a couple of more than five Bibles my whole life, and they all had like, of course, the just the canon Bible, and I I do believe that that the Bible has like truly a lot of things that help me realize things in life. You know, the foundational, I would call them the foundational rules of life, you know, cause and effect, like like mother, like daughter, and if you do this, you will be this. I do see that in real life how that's true. So I'm not want to talk about a lot about the New Testament or the wisdom books part of it, but how do I start with the realization that the first Bible may be like from Ethiopia, and like there's the book of Enoch. I knew that already, by the way. But why is that also something you have to discover later as a seasoned Christian? I always liked that title, by the way, I and actually people in Christianity, I think, also separate these groups of, like, you know, the new Christians, the one that are on milk, the one that are on the baby milk, and the ones that are dedicated but to a certain point, and then the ones that came to into a deep rabbit hole and came to find out their like lost book, like Enoch, you did, and whatever, bro. And I do understand people who then choose to say like, okay, then the whole religion doesn't make sense, then the whole Christianity is false, because how is it that the Bible has been edited, and how is it that there are another books that are not in the main plot? And I do understand these people, but I'm not quick to do that, and I'm also not quick to like identify myself with a other religion. I do want to dive deep more, and what I also came to find out is, and a particular thing that I want to point out is that what some of these lost books have in common, they're not in the Bible, is because they offer like a deeper meaning of life. They focus more on self discovery, and the focus is not that much on, you know, tithing to the church or justifying, like, not justifying, but you know, that a lot of basically a lot of Old Testament is quite dangerous and heavy topics, you know, as in rape and murder and wars, and that's basically where a lot of, you know, your deconstruction starts, actually reading the Old Testament. So that is kept in the Bible. And then we have some lost books from the Bible, and the Gospel of Thomas, was it one? Like Thomas was one of the disciples of Jesus. But I do also have my, like, just this is based off just feeling. I did not really do research, but what I feel is like, okay, the Gospel of Thomas does feel very like Buddhistic to me, like, and I'm not the only one that picked that up from that book. That book feels a bit forced, maybe like a very, or like it's so different from what the rest of the Bible teaches. It's like it goes into a whole goddess Buddhistic space, and like it's quite very enlightenment vibes. I get why that's not in the main Bible, but I also would like to question, but why not though? And that book also has the same theme of, because it focuses on a lot of self discovery. And what I see is this correlation actually with church people, that critical thinking does not get rewarded, but like just spiritual gaslighting gets you in higher levels at church, you know. It starts with whatever. If you do a Bible study and there's a round, and you know the one who has the most supernatural story about their life gets more praised than if you are the one that really would like to dive deep in theological discussions. What I noticed, by the way, I like more of the rational side of the faith, and do find found it very uh, different. I wouldn't say hard, but I noticed that not a lot of like the Christian people in my proximity were really into that. They were more into, you know, like the supernatural and evangelizing and being extroverted with their faith. But I really wanted to just dive deep and come into like a very deeper, much deeper spiritual reflection. That's why I myself hosted Bible studies, and I prioritize Bible studies way more than anything else. Um, but I think I know that no one has the answers, by the way. No one has all the answers, because what I also am very into, by the way, is the history of religion. I followed a history of religion series from a channel, and I learned so much about the history of Judaism, of Islam, of the all of the Abrahamic religions, and I am very interested in that topic. And I would like to have this portion of my channel dedicated to like dive deeps of religion. You know, there's a playlist that I made that's called the Deconstruction from Religion. You can check that one out. This video will be added to that. It's just a lot about observation, questioning, new foundings, research, and just not from a standpoint, by the way, which I am and which I like, is that I don't point the fingers at like, okay, this is bad, I'm better, because it's a very human tendency to do that. I'm pretty self-aware that I just want to ask questions, okay, and not judge people. I don't discourage my Christian friends to not go to church. I don't want to do that. I'm just asking questions, and I feel like the same respect from them to let me just go on my own journey and just discover some new things. And yeah, we can just talk about it. So, yeah, that's the video. Bye bye.